Hi, today we are going to be talking about how to know when your royal icing is at the perfect consistency for flooding cookies. So I know you work so hard to learn how to mix that royal icing, but sometimes it comes out and it goes on the cookie and it ends up not being the right consistency. I've got my little man here with me today, so I may have a little helper for our video. It's a snow day here in Tennessee, and we would normally be at Mimi's house on a Wednesday, but we didn't get to go to Mimi's today because of the snow, so we're just hanging out and watching the tablet. Can you say hi? Here, I'll move the bowl so everybody can see your sweet face. Y'all may be able to hear some cartoons going on in the background. That'll be all right, though. So we're going to talk about 3 ways that you can know if your royal icing is at the right consistency before you get it to the cookie. So one way is you can do the seconds test or the time test. This is the one where you pop a little bit back into the bowl, or you make a line in it with your spoon, line in the icing with the spoon, and you count how many seconds it takes to flow back together. That's the time test. You can also look at comparing the consistency to some other things. Whoa, Nelly. You can compare it. I've heard of lots of people. I know Miss Anita from Sweet Hope. She compares it to chocolate syrup and I think cookie dough and a few different things for her different consistencies. That's another way. And then you can also use this handy dandy little consistency gauge. Wow, man, you want to be the star of the show, don't you? Come here. Alrighty then. Thank you. Thank you. There we go. So we're going to start by mixing up some royal icing. Thank y'all for being patient with me today. We're going to start by mixing up some royal icing, and I'm going to start showing you how to get to that just right consistency. So this is some icing that I've mixed up previously today. It was just a few minutes ago, so it's nice and fresh, ready to go. Come here, little man. Sit right here. Thank you. Good job. So I like to use an extra large ice cream scoop to help me measure my icing and see how to get it to the right consistency. Before we talk about getting it to consistency, I want to say real quick, my recipe is one that I make in my KitchenAid mixer. So I really like the recipe in the KitchenAid because it builds the structures in the sugar, the powdered sugar, and it allows it to be a little bit more stiff, a little bit more fluffy. So it's fun to work with, and it's really good for florals and things of that nature. So I'll show you a little bit of kind of how my icing looks when it first comes out of the mixer. You can see how stiff those stiff peaks are, but it's really, really fluffy. So my icing is a 3/4 cup of warm water, 5 tablespoons of meringue powder, and then 2 pounds of powdered sugar. And then I mix that all together with a paddle attachment in my mixer. Buddy, here, let's pop down here. Thank you. Mix that all together with the paddle attachment on my mixer, and that turns into this. It goes from like a thin honey kind of state to this thick solid state. Do you want that spoon? You can do it. You can stir it. Show them how thick that is. Good job. So when I get ready to mix this to consistency, don't worry, y'all. This is not for customers. This is just a batch for this live today. I like to use a large ice cream scoop like this one. This one is about 1/4 cup. I know you can get them bigger, you can get them smaller, but this one's about 1/4 cup. And I found that this size scoop will ice about 3 3-inch cookies. So I'm going to pop that into my bowl. And when you're not using your icing, or when you're not feeding your toddler pure straight up royal icing, here, you can work on that for a minute, and Mom will cover this up. You want to cover it with an airtight covering because it will develop a crust on top, and that will cause your cookies to have, or well, your icing, excuse me, to have trouble coming out of the tip of your bag. So you want to make sure you avoid it crusting. Now, I have my 1 scoop here. If you've seen my YouTube video on icing consistency, you know that I like to use a scoop to a teaspoon of water. I start with a teaspoon and see where that gets me. One thing you want to try and remember is to use a flat utensil, something like a palette knife, something like a silicone spatula like this, in order to mix your icing. Because when you use a spoon that has that rounded center, sometimes that will incorporate more air into your icing. That's a trick or a little tip that I learned from Wilton. These flat utensils, things that aren't going to have a curve in them, are going to be better for mixing icing because they don't incorporate quite as much air. Quarantine/snow day parenting, y'all. We're rolling with it. Can anyone relate? And y'all, I'm going to pull up your comments right quick. I'm just now realizing that I don't have comments on the side. I see that I've got 3 people watching, but I can't see my comments. Here we go. Hey, Brittany. All right, so I have mixed my water into my icing, and now it looks about like this. Let me see if I can get that turned where y'all can see it. This snow is kind of creating a little bit of a glare. So that is just a little bit thick. When you're doing the time test, that's where you're going to take your utensil and drag it through the middle and count how long it takes to come back together. Now this is really, really thick. Temperature, humidity, weather of all kinds will really affect your roll eyes. It's a good thing we've got baby wipes at the table. I just now saw its little mouth. Buddy, you are a messy eater like your mama. Here, do you need a napkin? You need a napkin? Oh, here. There you go. Let's wipe your mouth. There we go. We're going to have to put him on the payroll. He's testing the icing for us. Brittany says so cute. Thank you, Brittany. All right, so this is still just a little bit thick. I can see that it's not going to flow back together because when I lift it up, it still has a peak on it. You can see that that peak's kind of wanting to stand up. It's falling over. It's a soft peak, but it's still a peak. And you can still see those ridges really, really strong when you stir. So I'm going to add another teaspoon and see where that gets me. Now, I use a scale to measure my powdered sugar, but sometimes powdered sugar is packed more tightly. Sometimes you have clumps. Like I said, weather is a big factor too. Oh no, did you get some on Mama's arm? That was a close call, wasn't it? So, this is a little bit thinner than I want it to be. This is more of like a 10 or 15. So when you stir this and then you pop it back down in there, you can watch and count how long it takes to flow back together. Can y'all see how I make that separation? And count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it's kind of flowed back together after the 10-second mark. It's easier to see when it's kind of flat like this. There we go. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can see that it's flowed back together here. This is more of a 10-second consistency. This is the consistency that I like to use when I am making like dipped cookies or marble cookies. This is a pretty thin consistency. Some people like to use this as their flood consistency. You just have to work on it and see which one works best for you. I'm going to show y'all a 20-second today because that's what I like to use for my flood. I like to go around the edge with that 20-second, do the pipe with that, and then just in kind of one swift motion, keep squeezing on that bag and do another round with that 20-second, and it's perfect for outlining and flooding. It's more of the texture of molasses. So I'm going to add just a bit more icing to get it to that just right texture. Brittany says that's how you know your icing is good. Kid approved. This is definitely some kid approved icing. I'm sure his dentist would not approve of him eating royal icing straight off the spoon, but you know what? We're making it work today. It will be all right. Okay. So I've added just a little bit more icing, and it's still just a little too thick, so I'm going to pop a little bit of water in there. You just have to work in small increments until you feel like it's close, and then you can test. So the way that I'm going to test, again, is either you can take a little bit and plop it back onto the pile like this, or you can run a stream up the middle. So if I count to 20, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And you can see that that has kind of come back together in those 20 seconds. It's still showing a few ridges. It's still got a little bit of life to it, but that's okay. A lot of people, when they mix this 20-second icing, they think that it's going to be too thick for their flood consistency, and it does seem that way at first. But thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. There you go. It does seem that way at first, but once you get used to it, you kind of learn some tricks with the scribe to help you even it out more easily. You can shake the cookie or tap the cookie on the table, and that'll allow you to use this 20-second and still get a nice smooth consistency. So one of the ways to tell if your icing is at consistency, which this is to do the drop and the pull method that I just showed you. You can also compare the texture. I told you about Miss Anita from here. I'm going to get you your own bowl, okay? Mama fix you your own bowl. We're going to open the big one up, and we'll fix you a scoop in your very own bowl. There you go. You want to stir it? Look here, stir it up. Stir it up in the bowl for Mama. Show them how we stir it. There you go. Okay, you did it. Show them how we stir it up. You can compare the consistencies to different food items. So like Anita, she compares the thick, just out of the mixer consistency to cookie dough. I like to think of my 20-second consistency as like molasses. It flows really similarly to molasses, or maybe like a thick honey. It's kind of slow. It's, I guess, gloppy, you'd call it, sort of globby. It plops into the bowl. That's one way to think of it. But I also have my favorite method, which is Cynthia says, I'm so getting me an ice cream scoop today. Yes, the ice cream scoop is so handy, and it helps you measure how much icing you need for different projects. So like if I'm icing 6 cookies, I know that one of my extra large ice cream scoops will cover 3 cookies. So I do 2 scoops icing, mix it to the right consistency, and I know that I'm ready to flood my 6 cookies. It kind of takes some getting used to and a little bit of math, but it really saves you some time on the back end once you get used to using it. And I had another comment. Oh, Carolyn says, I need that lid. Where did you get it? I get everything on Amazon, Carolyn. I know they have that lid on Amazon. I think that one actually came with my mixer. My mom got me this mixer 6 years ago when my husband and I got married for Christmas. And I think it came with it then, but I know they have them on Amazon. It's just the KitchenAid. I'm not sure what to search, but I'll look for it and drop it in the comments for you. I'll give you a link. Now, the third method to know if your icing is at the right consistency is this icing consistency gauge that I have on my website. I'm looking to see if y'all can see it. There we go. So I made this, and it is just kind of a rough way to tell if your icing is at the right consistency. You can go online and print this off. It's just a piece of paper. I've put mine in the front of the binder so that the binder will stand up on its own. You can clip it to a clipboard. You can clip it to the front of a book, whatever you need to do to make it stand up on its own. Thank you so much. Did y'all know that royal icing could also be used for facial treatments? Thank you. Here, sit down. Watch your video. Y'all, anybody that knows me knows that I have 2-year-old twins. We're going to be 3 in May. And my other little boy, Miles, is sitting on the couch watching his videos right now. But Noah wanted to come and join us. He's watching his PJ Masks right now. Here you go, buddy. There we go. Good job. All right. So the way that you use this gauge, you would print it off, like I said, from my website. It's just one of those freebies under free resources on sarahgracecookieco.com. Or you can go to the link in the description of this video, and the link is there for you to download. So you're going to want to put your icing into a bag. I like a tipless piping bag. And this little gauge just requires that it be in a bag so that you can pipe a kind of consistent amount. I guess you could take a spoon and put it on there. I haven't tried it like that before, but that would probably be fine too. But basically, you're just going to pipe a little bit onto the gauge. You can put it in a page protector and pop it on a clipboard. You can do a binder like I've got here. And there is a blog post on my blog on sarahgracecookieco.com that tells a little bit more in depth how to use this. And it also shows you in like a written format. I know some people like to have things explained in a written format. Some people prefer video. So I just like to try and provide both as much as I can. Hey, Patty. Hey, Londa. Hey, Melissa. That's my automatic bag sealer. If y'all want an Amazon link for that, I'll give you one. I love that thing. It's so handy. But I've got my icing in a bag, and I'm going to take my phone here, and I'm going to set up a timer or a stopwatch for 30 seconds. So I'm going to find my 30 seconds here. Oh, I'm on minutes. Here we go. Set it up for 30 seconds. And I'm going to set up my icing gauge so that it's straight up and down. And I'm going to find one of these little dots. So you can see here, this measures 20-second and 10-second consistency. You're going to pipe a little dot of icing into this dot here. Try and hit it in the center and just like a small little squeeze. I say like maybe a straight pen, like you know the top of a straight pen size amount. So you'll pipe a little bit there, you'll set your timer, and you'll see how far it drips in that 30-second time frame. Yeah. So we're going to do that now. We're going to set it up here. Take our piping bag. I always say about 1/4, 1/8 of an inch, like half of a pinky nail is my cut amount on a tipless piping bag. You just barely cut the tip at all. Oops. Here, buddy. I need you to sit down for a minute. Thank you. There you go. There you go. You want your iPad? Here, hold it. There you go. You're going to start your timer and try to pipe at the same time. So I'm trying to hold it so y'all can see it good here. Here we go. It may be better to do this on the other side. So click start, pipe a tiny bit, and see if it'll run. Ooh. And it looks like mine's not running at all. So that is a little bit too thick. That is not quite to the consistency we want it to be at. So that means we need to remix. If you see that it's not the consistency you want it to be, just go back, cut the end off your bag. That's why I love tipless piping bags for beginners. It didn't run at all in that 30 seconds. I love tipless piping bags for beginners because when you need to remix that icing and fix your consistency, you can do that really easily just by cutting a larger part of the tip off, squeezing it back in the bowl, and going back in with about 1/2 to 1/4 teaspoon of icing. What is it, Bubba? Did you fall down? Here you go. It's okay. There you go. So I added about a 1/4 teaspoon more water to this, and I'm going to see. Sometimes the count test fails because we count at different rates. Sometimes the molasses and the honey test fails because, molasses and honey can be different consistencies sometimes, and it's just hard to eyeball it. So I'm testing that to see if it's at 20 seconds. I think it's pretty much close. And that was just a 1/4 teaspoon more water, but that can make all the difference when you're icing cookies, when you're getting started, because it's easy to get frustrated when your icing isn't evening out like you want it to, or it's flowing off the side of the cookie. And I think it's worth the time to use this gauge and make sure that it's the right consistency before you take it to the cookie, or make sure, or to even test and see if it was the right consistency to begin with. If you get it to the cookie and it's not doing what you want it to do, or it's causing you issues. What's the matter, my love? You've been so happy today. Here we go. Here you go. Oh, you got icing on you. I feel like that's what it is. Is that bothering you? Ooh, that was sticky, wasn't it? That was some sticky stuff. It's okay. Yeah, we don't really love having our face wiped. There we go. Let's turn on PJ Mask. Now, we're going to test this again and see if we've got the right consistency this time. Cut that bag again. Just like we did earlier, we're repeating the same process. I've got my 30-second timer ready to go. I'm going to click start. Wow, that's so cool. Yeah. You may have to pop just a little bit more to get it to go. And we're going to let that 30-second timer go. And we can see that it's flowing this time around. All right, and there goes our timer. So let's see. That didn't quite meet the 20-second line. So I would normally mix that just a little bit more. Add a little bit more water. It got there. That would be kind of on the thick end of the 20-second. That's the thing about royal icing consistency. It's never going to be exact or perfect. And it's just one of those things that takes time and a little bit of practice to get the hang of. This little gauge is a really handy way to see if you're close, to see if you're in that zone. Because when you're first getting started, it's hard to know super, super thin flood from super, super thick, and it all just kind of looks the same and jumbled together. So this gauge is a good way to help you get the hang of that. If this were me decorating cookies on a regular day, I would probably add a little bit more water to that, test it again, see if it came further down into that 20-second line and hit the gray, the top gray line just a bit more. That would be my ideal perfect consistency. But, sometimes it works just, you're just really interested in this, aren't you? Here, do you want to hold it? Do you want to hold it? Yeah, you hold it. You hold it right here. You can have it. Now then. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed that. I hope that gave y'all a little bit better idea of how to know when your icing is at the right consistency. I know it's kind of hard to convey over video and when you have little helpers around the house, but this is real life. I know a lot of us who make cookies at home are mamas and wives, and we don't necessarily get to sit in our kitchen alone all the time and make cookies. When you're practicing, you usually have little helping hands and maybe a husband coming to taste test every once in a while. So this was real life, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. I want to tell y'all about the Royal Icing Consistency Workshop that I'm doing here in a few weeks. We're going to have that on March 4th. That's going to be an online workshop, so anyone can attend that. And it is at 5:30 in the evening. Whoa, Natalie. Whoa. Noah. Here, come here. Come here. Sit in my lap. Thank you. Here you go. That's called Consistency Confidence, our workshop that we're going to be doing. I'll have Dad on duty that evening to help with little men here. Hopefully we won't be snowed in that night. It'll be in March, so we should be good to go. I'm just going to let him decorate this binder. It's whatever at this point. If y'all would like to get into that Royal Icing Consistency Confidence workshop, that's going to be on Zoom. So I'll be able to look at your icing with you like I did with this icing today. You'll be able to hold it up to your screen so that I can say, I would add more water to that, or I would add a little bit more icing and make it a bit thicker. I'll be there to give you feedback and kind of help you along in your royal icing consistency journey. That's really the foundation of cookie decorating. And once you really get that down pat and once that is in hand, you're able to create some beautiful, beautiful cookies. And from there, you can create a nice hobby that you enjoy. You can make cookies for kids' birthday parties, like some Two and Digging It tow trucks that we had last year. You can create a side hustle, a business out of that. Really, the sky's the limit after you get that consistency down. That is the hardest part to me, and I know to many beginners, they say consistency is the hardest part. But you can really start making the cookies that you see on Instagram and the ones that you have in your head come to life once you've mastered consistency. So if you'd like to be included in that workshop, if you'd like to be on Zoom with us when we do that, that's going to be $25. Again, that's on March 4th at 5:30 in the evening on Zoom. That's Central Time. I live in Middle Tennessee, so Central Time, United States. And if you would like to be included in that, just send me a direct message here on Facebook, or you can email me at sarahgracecookieco@gmail.com. You can really get a hold of me on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, but a Facebook message would probably be the easiest thing, and I can help you get registered for that workshop. Thank y'all so much for being here today, and thank you for being patient with me and my little man as we kind of work out the whole being home while Mom does some work stuff thing. He seems to be enjoying the royal icing consistency gauge, so if he likes it, you will too. Y'all have a great day, and thank y'all so much. Bye-bye. Can you tell him bye-bye, Noah? Can you say bye-bye? Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Y'all can see my dishes in my sink. I apologize. This half of the kitchen is really clean, though. Say bye-bye. See you later. Thanks for decorating with us today.